would be more inclined to be connected to her emotion. You know what I mean? Like we just have differences, and that's what we're just exploring. You know. She's not crying.
What are y'all doing?
We're talking to people on the streets.
About what?
Why is this being confrontational? Why is
It's not a confrontation.
I'm
because
just-
you
I'm
just
very
upset
curious.
that you've upset.
What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be woman cries after finding out men are physically stronger. Okay, before I get into the video though, I gotta do the YouTube stuff. The goal is 30,000 subscribers by June. It's a crazy goal, it's a big goal, but it's my goal, alright? And the only way I'm gonna get to my goal is if you give me the HBO special. Do you know what the HBO special is? That's the Help a Brother Out special, alright? So go in and help a brother out. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. I'm gonna give y'all a second to do that. Alright, now let's get to the video. Woman cries when she finds out that men are physically stronger than women. Let's get into the video.
Excuse me, miss. Hello. Hi. Can you tell me what we've missed here? Because it looks like something great happened, and we just showed up now. What's going on here?
Yeah, we're in acting class, and we've chosen political speeches that we admire, and we've taken them to the park to give to the public and practice just spreading the words that we find passionate and powerful. Yeah.
That's great. I was wondering what was going on because she's up there and people, all these people, and I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can we ask you a really quick question for a little video? Just whatever comes to your mind naturally. What would you say? Can you name some things women just have a knack for more so than men?
Probably compassion and empathy and generosity of heart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people go with that.
Anybody
And
who
what
nods
comes to your
and
mind if I
says,
say
yeah.
what would you say?
Anybody who nods and says, yeah, when they finish their sentences, just get ready if you're a man for a difficult conversation. Let's get into the video.
Men are better at than women.
I don't know. A lot. I think both have their pluses and minuses. I think men are better at
You don't know one thing men are
probably
men are better at.
guarding themselves. Yeah.
Not so good with the emotions. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah. Well, they're good at a lot of things, but that's
Nothing that you can think of right now.
that's just the one that came up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like muscle stuff. Usually we're pretty good at muscles.
Muscle stuff?
You know, like strength.
Sure.
That's an easy one. That's a go-to one.
Oh, I think women are good at that too. Yeah.
But like as a tendency, generally speaking, you know, women are more connected to the emotions, but men are usually a little bit more muscly. You know.
I think that's been the stereotype, but I think that's definitely changing, you know?
I think women.
And this is what I'm talking about. We're getting to this point, okay, where we can't have real conversations anymore. Okay, and the glasses have come off now. We can't have genuine conversations about what is real and what is not. This man says that men are physically stronger than women, which is a scientific fact if there ever was one. And you don't need to be a scientist to know that. All right, you ain't gotta be Einstein to know that. All right, you ain't gotta be Sherlock Holmes to know that. But as soon as he says that to a grown woman, all right, the narrative is that was the stereotype, as if it's some kind of social construct. This ideology just pins everything to societal pressures. Okay, they say a woman feels bad when she goes out and has sex with a guy that she barely knows because of societal pressure. You're okay if you're fat. You don't have to worry about diabetes or heart attack or depression or being unattractive or any of those things. All right. The only reason why you feel like there's a problem if you look in the mirror and you don't love yourself is because of societal pressures. It's not because you feel like you let yourself down. It's because society tells you that's bad. All right. It's always put on society. Okay. And I'm here to tell you right now, ladies. Physical strength, the physical strength of men versus women ain't no goddamn social construct. All right, I'm gonna tell you that now. That's out the window. We can't start doing that when we start acting like that's true. But it's gotten to that point of delusion where we're so not allowed to have the conversation to the point where the conversation gets to this before we even get to say, okay, no, let's pump the brakes. This is getting out of hand. It's going to get worse and worse. All right, but let's continue the video.
Women genetically are catching up to men in strength.
Yeah, I think the emphasis on men having to be so strong and like that sort of stereotype, I think that's going down.
Physically.
You think that it's an emphasis on men being strong, or men just are naturally just stronger because of their genetics?
Oh, interesting. I think women are just as strong as men. I don't know.
Physically?
Yeah, I do.
But they're not though, right? They're not. Like, look at this. I'm a normal dude. Look at my size.
Look,
I'm just
outraged.
bigger, right?
She
So I'm
can't
gonna have
believe
more
it.
muscle. That's a normal. It's just how it is. It's not.
Not all men.
No, there are of course exceptions, right? Of course, there's men who are like this tall, and you could just slap them and beat them up with one hand. But generally speaking, of course, there's men who are intuitive and very emotional and in their hearts and very good at connecting with their emotions too. But that's more rare than a woman who naturally would be more inclined to be connected to her emotion. You know what I mean? Like we just have differences, and that's what we're just exploring. You know. We just find it really interesting how people are scared to say.
This is a real human being, people. This is a person that is allowed to vote in the United States of America. Okay, a person that is so delusional. Okay, they're so delusional that they don't understand that men are physically stronger than women. This is a person that is allowed to vote. She is acting as if she is surprised when he stood next to her and said, "Look at the size difference off the rip." She looked around as if somebody was going to be there to save her. Like this is an uncomfortable conversation. Oh, and I think he's being pretty reasonable about this. Okay, he asked her what are women good at, and she comes out with this laundry list of things she thinks women are better at. And then when he asks what are men better at, she doesn't have anything. And so he extends the olive branch and says, "Hey, let me just give you one off the top of my head. Maybe everything to do with physical strength or speed or, any kind of athleticism. Maybe that's something that men might be better at." And she's absolutely outraged at the idea. Let's continue the video.
That we're different. I think it's okay to say that we're different. We all have our things that we're good at. Doesn't mean any sex is superior, but we're just different. We're just not the same, you know?
I think it's just the word strong is a difficult one to apply to this because it's like saying women aren't strong.
We're only talking about physical strength. We're not talking like overall strength or goodness or any of those things. Just physically. That's all it was.
Yeah, I think I get that. But I'm just questioning if there's another word that might, make it easier for people to say yes or no to that,
I don't know. What's another good word for strong?
No, that's what I'm proposing is.
It's a good word, though. Strong is the word. Strong. Look at that. That's strong. So yeah, that's that. But don't you think it's interesting, though, that that you yourself, you kind of struggled when we asked, what are men better at? You kind of. It was a struggle. It was like there was some part of you that didn't want to admit that.
Because you don't want to go towards I don't want to go towards the like hyper masculinity and like feed into that sort of like, box that men are put in, and there's a box women are put in, and
men are stronger than women is hyper.
So I think it's a challenging time to be like, what,
Well, here's what I think. I think by admitting that we're different, but ultimately we're just two halves of one coin, right? Like we need each other. We love each other, so for real happiness and joy and peace to happen on the planet, we need to accept that we're different, but not see any one side as superior or better. Just that we're just different, and then we accept those differences. We love each other. We come together, and we make beautiful babies. That's what I think.
Are you asking if I agree, or?
Well, no, that's just what I think. But do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that everyone's different. I think, yeah.
Do you?
Do I think everybody's different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Do you guys want to come talk to us? If anybody's wondering why the faces of a couple of certain gentlemen are blurred during this video, it's not because I don't want you to see black people. It's not like I'm trying to save all you from the evil black people. I love black people in a lot of situations more than white people. But one of these guys happened to have complained to YouTube that I used their likeness without their permission, and that's why this video was originally taken down. That's a whole story, and I rant about that in a separate video on my second channel. Link is below. Enjoy. I think they like you more. I think they like you. How you doing?
So he is a comedian, okay? And so when he goes into the whole rant about black people, it's just him kind of doing a little bit. All right, but either way, this is what it's coming to, okay? What happens in a lot of times in these conversations, and I am going to do an entire video on this topic in particular because I have a theory about this topic in particular. They are beginning to take words off the table so that you can't have a conversation. So now if you say the word strong, if you say the word gay, if you say the word, any word, they can say it. What matters more is how I felt than what you intended, okay? And they call you a ist of some sort to gain leverage in conversations. So say in this particular conversation, okay? She tried to maneuver the word strong to make it seem like it had some separate definition when he even specified physically strong. She tried to make it seem like it had some separate definition that we could say differently. You know what I mean? Another word we could say differently so that she could just not admit that she's wrong. What's so wrong about admitting that you're wrong? All right? And it gets to the point where we're not allowed to have conversations because as soon as you say something about a woman, you're a sexist. If you disagree with anything they say, you're a sexist or you're some kind of ist. All right? And that's how they take you out of the conversation. So they don't have to defend these ridiculous ideologies. What they do is they call you an ist, and what that does is that gives them leverage in the conversation. So now you're down here. Because humans are naturally empathetic, when you're called a sexist, other humans don't want to hear what you have to say. So the first thing that these people try to do is they try to give you a label. You're a misogynist, you're a and what that does is that gives them some kind of moral high ground. So now anything that you say following that questions their belief, they can just ignore it and say you're an ist. Okay, they don't have to listen to your conversations or your arguments. And a lot of society does that, and that is where it's going. And it's going to get to the point where you can't say anything against these ideologies. And that's why it's very important that we do use what remaining freedom of speech we have to discuss this stuff. Because by the day, you see red pill content creators getting taken off YouTube, and I don't think that we say things that are that bad. I mean, I guess it's going to vary on depending on which one in particular. But I've seen people who were having counter arguments to this kind of political correct culture. I see them getting demonetized by the dozen. Okay, every day there's a new person demonetized because they said they don't agree with this ideology and they have a counter argument to this idea. That's the whole point of freedom of speech. One of the best and one of the most beautiful things about freedom of speech is the fact that it negates dogma. So if you come up with a ridiculous idea, you don't get a Hitler if you have freedom of speech because somebody stands up and says, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, and that's what it takes. You have to have people that stand up and say, no, we can't do that because that's ridiculous. Or things get things get out of hand, and you'll see this kind of interview escalate. And I hope y'all stuck around for long enough, but let's get back into it.
Yeah.
How you doing? You want to come talk to us? We're talking about the differences between men and women, and we're just asking people. She's not okay. Well, I don't know. How am I gonna fix it? She's not crying. I didn't ask anything. I was just asking what's the difference between men and women. Is she crying? All right, let's go talk to her. How's it going?
What are y'all doing?
We're talking to people on the streets.
About what?
About the difference between men and women, what men are great at, what women are great at, everything.
What is this for?
You want to talk to us?
But who are you for? Like, what is this for?
For my YouTube channel.
Why is this being confrontational?
No, it's not a confrontation
I'm
because
just
you
very
upset
curious.
you've upset the lady you were talking to. She's
Oh.
talking upset the state.
I haven't asked anything upsetting at all.
So what have you asked? What are some of the questions you've asked?
I'm gonna go through them with you. You want to do it? No. Let's go through the questions. Let's go through the questions. All right. So we're gonna go through the questions.
There's no need to be confrontational.
Pause it. You were very confrontational to that woman.
Hang on.
Were you confrontational?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think.
they consider that to be confrontational, just having a reasonable discussion with the person on the street that questions what they believe. That's confrontational now. Okay, and you see these men come to white knight for this woman that isn't going to do anything for them. And this is women, this is your power in society. Okay, the power that you have is the fact that men want to protect you naturally. Okay, so you're always going to be seen as the victim. You're always going to be seen as the one that needs to be protected, even when you're wrong. And in this case, in particular, especially, she was wrong. We have to get away from this idea that intent doesn't matter, because how you perceive it is the thing that matters. Okay, we're getting into this weird space where I can say something to you with the best intentions, and because you take it as offensive, you can just sit and cry, and we have to act like we have to cater to you now because you lost the argument. Okay? That's all it was. I mean, you're wrong. You found out some new information. You don't have to go off into a corner and cry, and then so other men can come and try to protect you. All right? And I'm sorry, I gotta do this. I am going to take it here. White women have been the most coddled women in history. To have the privilege to act like you did not benefit from slavery, and then try to recruit the black woman on your voyage to this kind of independence where you didn't have them in mind at first, because black women got the right to vote after white women got the right to vote. So the feminist movement was never for black women. Black women, you were being led astray. Okay, while you are the ones defending this on Twitter, this ideology, those white women are getting married. And of course, it's starting to decline now because that ideology is actually starting to spill over where people start to believe it. But for the past 40 years, white women weren't believing that ideology. They were still getting married. Okay, and they were leaving the dummies out to go do all the dirty work on Twitter and all the outing and doing all that other stuff, doing all that extraness, and really believing that you don't need a man. They were leaving that to the black women to carry. Okay, and so y'all have carried that burden, and y'all got to the point where you don't want a man anymore, and you've allowed the government to get involved, so now they incentivize you to not have a man in the house. You get more food if you don't have a man in the house. You get more benefits if you don't have a man in the house. So I don't need a man, but your children need a man. Okay, and it is very selfish of you to sit back and collect government aid and claim that you don't need a man when your children are the ones that are going to lose this fight of selfishness. Okay, and I'm sorry to go that far down this route, but I'm gonna continue the video because I think he's going to elaborate a little bit on what just happened. So let's just hear what he has to say before I go ahead and end the video.
I know that was intense, right? So when that happened, I couldn't believe. I'm going to share with you guys what happened, just because it's interesting, right? I couldn't believe it because, I didn't ask anything wrong at all. I was just questioning her belief that men were not stronger than women physically, it seemed pretty insane. Just ridiculous. It's a lot of programming. So I just wanted to gently prod and be like, hey, because I couldn't help it. I was just like, really? And and I had no idea that she was upset. So I was so shocked when they're like, she's crying. I was like, what? So I wanted to go over and make sure she was okay and make sure, whatever. But then these guys came over and they started arguing and stuff. And it was it got really crazy. There was one guy, I think you only see him for a second. There was this white guy who was basically trying to put this narrative like, yeah, you've upset her, so it must be your fault because she's upset. And I was listening to them like, no, I don't agree with that at all. Actually, it's up to the person themselves to be responsible for their emotions, because a lot of situations in life, somebody could take offense, but no offense was intended. There was a story in a paper in London where, a guy offered an older woman a seat on a bus, and she was like, oh, how dare you? What are you saying? I'm old. I'm only 57 or whatever. So she's offended, and the guy was trying to be a gentleman, a nice, kind person to let someone who was a bit older sit down. So
Ridiculous.
It's up to us to be in charge of our emotions and our state.
Bingo.
So it's really insane for him. So this guy was blaming me like, oh, you must have done something bad. I'm like, no, your friend's crying has nothing to do with me. I'm just out here, asking questions, and that's it. So, but that's sort of like self-development stuff, and most people are not. They're not really, they're anyway. So he was quite lost himself, and then these other fellows that.
Okay, so that's where I'm going to end the video. There's probably about a minute left of the video. He's just going to explain further into what happened. This is the second time he had to upload the video, because the first time he uploaded the video, the guys that, like he said in the video, the guys that were in the video requested that it be taken down because their faces were in it. And this is where the attack on freedom of speech comes into play. People, you guys have to understand. and I am going to bring this up again. White men, all right, you have taken your flack. You have taken your kind of responsibility for regular white dudes, for regular white dudes that gotta go to work, and you know, we're integrated and we all hanging out. Like, we get it. Y'all have paid y'all dues. Like, y'all have, if not y'all have paid y'all dues, y'all have at least accepted the responsibility. Y'all have at least accepted the fact that some people in the white community have benefited from racism, and y'all have taken that flack for years and that criticism for years. Okay, y'all women haven't. Okay, white women have never gotten that, because as soon as it was their turn to take that flag, they said, no, we weren't a part of that. We were just hijacked by the white man. The white man was just forcing us to do all this stuff that we were doing as white women to the slaves. And some people believe that white women slave owners were worse than the white male slave owners because of the things that they did to the slaves. Okay, so this idea that you can just like, people just have to feel sympathy for you no matter what. All right, people just have to feel bad for you no matter what, when you've never taken the criticism that allows you to sit at the table. All right, men, black, white, we've all been criticized before. All right, and we've all owned up to it. We've all tried to at some point become acceptant of where we may have downfall, or where our downfalls may have been, and we tried to better ourselves because we wanted to prove that, you know, we wanted to be better for the women that we thought that were really on our team. Okay, we've all taken this criticism before. Black, white, all of us. Asian, Hispanic, all of us. Okay, but our women tend to get to duck from this responsibility, and I'm sorry. Across the board, white women are just the most coddled and the most ducking of the responsibility when it comes to this problem in the gender war in America. Till next time.